All right, so we're going to be working with the tooling today and creating the tooling offset. So on the teach pendant, we're going to be going to program data. All right, so we're in our tool data and, or not tool data, our program data. Then we're going to be going down to tool data because we're working with our tools. All right, I would call them end effectors, but hey, end effectors, tools, roughly the same idea. So we can go ahead and get into our tool data. And we're just going to say new. And make sure your robot's in manual mode. Mine was not. Now mine is. Now I can say new. And everything should be pretty much good. All right, so we can give this a name. So I'm going to call this, mine's going to be pen because that's all I really have. If you guys want to use vacuum or the gripper, whichever one you want to start with, just to make your life a little bit easier. All right, so mine's called pen. You've labeled yours whatever it is. Oops, go back, put them down. And now we're going to go ahead and click initial value at the bottom corner. That's not what I wanted to do. Never mind. Just hit OK. All right, and that should take you back to the home screen.
Tool vacuum has invalid.
All right, so if you're getting invalid, which is fine, let me go ahead and change my value. You just need to scroll down to where it says mass, and right now it's equal to -1. Just the value of 1 there would be perfectly fine. That's all we really need to do there. You should be at the screen I'm at now. You've got your mass entered as any value but -1. So ideally, should be a value of the actual weight, but for our purposes in here, doesn't really matter. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click on our tool that we're creating. So mine's pen, yours is vacuum or gripper. You're going to say edit and then define. All right. Define. It's the very bottom one. All right. And it's going to come up here and say point 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. Now this is when it gets kind of interesting. So we need to move our robot to a given point in space, and we're going to keep referencing that same point. All right. So if you're using your vacuum cup, you want to pick kind of like the center of that vacuum. Right in the center of it. Maybe even up a little bit from the bottom, that yellow, because the vacuum we can squish a little bit, so it won't hurt to have it up just a little bit. And you're going to keep that, you're going to try to center that vacuum on that point. So I put a little a little screwdriver in there. Doesn't matter if it's standing straight up. I'd actually have it lean against something. The key here is we can't have that magical point in space move. So you can't actually touch it the whole time we're reorienting everything. So that's where it gets a little bit of a pain in the butt. So what I'm going to do is I have two of the exact same tool here. I'm going to try to get the point on the one on the robot as close to that point as I can right there. And I'm going to say save that point. So let me go ahead and do that, and we'll be back in a second. All right, so you can see that I've got my tip as basically as close to center on that as I can get it. All right, I mean, darn stinking close. So that's what you want to do. Now, once you're there, you're going to go back to your program data. You're going to click on point 1, and you're going to say modify position. And it will actually grab all of the values for those join angles and save it. All right. Guess what we're going to do now? We're going to go reorient the tool.
Okay, where do we go now to save it?
And do it again. So to save it, all you're going to do is click on point 1, or go back to program data at the bottom, point 1, and then modify position. All right, so now we can reorientate the robot and just do the exact same thing again with the goal of getting your screwdriver in that suction cup in the exact same spot, just at an angle now, basically. All right, so my system for doing this is I go to jogging and I click on the XYZ button again, or motion mode, and I go to reorient. Now, remember, this is going to reorient around tool 0, so that's that like magical space right at the very end of the robot before you have an end effector. So make sure you've moved away from it first. All right? Yeah, just go like straight up is perfectly fine. And then you're going to reorient. So since you're in reorient mode, now you can just use like the right arrow. And for me, that you can see it like angles the robot, the pen kind of closer, pointing towards the robot now, instead of being kind of more vertical. And after I've reoriented it some, all I'm going to do is go back to XYZ mode and then try to get that pointer to the exact same place in space again. So I'm just going to keep doing this, wrong way, until I'm at the exact same place. Now, my benefit of doing this virtually is I can't physically crash into this thing. So I've got a little bit of a benefit there. But instead, for me, reorienting and getting this back to that exact same spot is royally a bigger pain than you guys have in the real world of doing this. So you're just going to keep getting closer and closer to it, hopefully without actually touching it, which, as I said, I am failing miserably. But that's just the happy world of doing it in a simulation.
How do you get to XYZ mode?
So to get to XYZ mode, you can either go to motion mode in the jogging screen and click on that and say linear, or you can click that button to the left of the joystick that has the little arrow pointing both directions, or like the XYZ coordinate system.
Yeah.
All right, so as I said, just kind of keep sneaking up on it, get it as close to that exact same spot as you can, which I'm going to call mine good enough. I'm going to move it over just a little bit. There we go. And once you're there, you're going to do 0.2 and then modify position. And you're going to do it 2 more times, surprise, surprise. And we'll come back when we're all done with that. All right, so you can see that is my 3rd position. So I'm going to click 0.3, I'm going to modify it. Got 3 done. I only need to do 1 more point. So we're going to reorient 1 more time. Just kind of been picking a direction, maybe 2 directions. We'll do something like this. Maybe, oh, let's go the other way with it. Something like that. And I'm going to go try and find the robot again, which is always fun in the simulated environment. All right, so on our last one, again, I'm as close as I'm going to get. I could probably get a little closer, but that's okay. We're going to say modify position. I've got all 4 modified now. We're going to hit OK. And now if we scroll, if you look right here at the top, it says max error was 0.22 millimeters, minimum error was 0.17. So my average error was I was 0.2 millimeters off. All right. For my purposes, I'm happy with 0.2 millimeters off. Depending on what you're doing, that may not be acceptable to you. All right. Now, you can define all this. I am sure there's a way in the software using the importing a CAD model and being able to say it's X this much and Z this much and all those other fun things. I just don't know how to do it. And for our purposes of just training you guys about the whole tool offset thing, this is perfectly fine as far as I'm concerned. All right. So now I'm going to hit OK. And now here's kind of the fun part. I'm going to go to jogging. Our coordinate system I'm going to say is tool. And then my tool is going to be the pen. And I'm going to go into reorient mode. And you will see that the tip of those 2 things for me are going to basically stay exactly together. So I'm going to reorient this. And you notice we're moving a little bit, but we're not moving a lot. Again, like 0.2 millimeters. I'm zoomed in mighty close right now. So if I zoom back out, you know, we look at it from here. Oh, maybe I can't go that way. It looks like those 2 tips are just staying perfectly together. Let's go the other way. And that's what you guys could do as well with your robots. So now we've defined that the center of the suction cup is with tool 0 is basically the end of the arm. So the XYZ that we describe is the same for everything now. So that is how you make a new tool data object in Robot Studio.